I am Brad Keelor. She is Gaby Vasquez. Coming up next on Director's Cut, find out why her laughing got so much attention at Disneyland. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I'm the director of the Geo-Institute, and that is why we call this show Director's Cut. Every single week, except during the summer and 1 week at the holidays, I sit down with a different GI member who has stories to tell. Some of them are personal and some are professional, and all of them, it's not a coincidence, we plan it this way, all of them are fun. If you don't know anything about the Geo-Institute, after you watch this amazing interview today, head over to geoinstitute.org, and there you will find out that we're a technical society with about 12,000 members. Most of those members are geotechnical engineers and or geologists, and that we are part of the American Society of Civil Engineers. And if you like what you see today, I always think you will, viewers, and our guests always comply and they deliver, and so you're going to like it is basically the bottom line. Click like, subscribe, and get notifications, and we will let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel. Now, our guests, coming to us from like the gateway to South Texas, maybe, from Austin, Texas, where she is a geotechnical engineer at Black & Veatch. It is Gaby Vasquez. Gaby, welcome, and thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Brad, for having me. I think you've been a really good host. That's why people keep coming back.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're living a lie, because we're like 219 episodes in. That would be bad if people just weren't speaking up and things were really going terribly. We have 10 questions today, the same that we do every week, and 2 of those are always the same, and we have to start with one of those. Describe your job in 45 seconds.
I think I got this down. So I'm a geotech engineer.
I don't time anybody, by the way, so, you know.
Okay, good, because I had a little timer on the side, but I wanted to make sure I hit it. But I'm a geotech engineer with Black & Veatch, and I mainly help with projects within our power department. I do everything from the field investigations to calculations, all the way till we have our foundations in the ground during construction. So a little bit of everything.
That's pretty good. Now, do you wish, I mean, maybe your boss is watching this, maybe they're not. Do you wish that you were more specialized, or do you like having that variety?
I like having the variety because I get to see a little bit of everything. So I'm kind of specialized within power, but within that, I'm able to see like all these different types of foundations that we get to design or even construct, things that I haven't seen before. One of them being micropiles or stone columns, or even during field investigations, just watching CPTs, because I've read about them, but I've never put them into practice. So it's a pretty niche field, I would say.
Perfect, but still well-rounded. I like that a lot. We always get to the fun questions on Director's Cut, and this is where we find out all kinds of information about the guests, and more than just about your job, really. That's why we're here, to learn, right? Gaby, what is your worst technology habit or tendency?
Oh, that's a good one. So I would have to say doom scrolling, which is you just keep scrolling the whole time. So I go down a lot of rabbit holes where I watch a lot of like the cute cat and dog videos where they're just doing funny things. But because of the doom scrolling, me and my sister, we recreate a lot of these videos on my dog, Shelby. So we'll recreate these viral videos. I think the last one that we did was like seeing how long she would give her paw until she said, I'm just done with it. She lasted a lot longer than what we thought she would, but that's also because my sister had a treat in her hand until I think like the 10-minute mark, my dog was like, I'm done. Yeah. She's very food motivated. That's why she can last pretty long with these. Yeah.
But 10 minutes, I mean,
Yeah,
now I'm approaching
yeah,
this with my human brain, right? And
yeah,
there's a lot more logic.
yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I guess we're going to talk about food later on in the show,
Yes,
but I'm
yeah.
not sure that there's any food that I would sit there and wait patiently for 10 minutes for.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I would give up, but Shelby's just very food motivated, food driven. So, after the 10-minute mark, she got pissed at my sister and just went and like slapped the food out of her hand. And I was
I,
like, I'm not
See, that
doing
I
this
feel like
anymore.
that would be more my reaction, and it would come a
Yeah,
lot faster than 10 minutes.
yeah, yeah. We
That's
thought so
amazing.
too.
Where can people find all these videos? Are they posted for public consumption?
So I think I find them through Instagram a lot.
Well, I meant
Um,
yours, the ones that you recreate.
So we don't have those public. Those are for me and my
Oh.
sister, and we share to family members once in a while. But my sister's been like considering making my dog an Instagram account, but maybe eventually. Once we put it up there, I'll let you know.
What could go wrong with a pet
I know,
having an Instagram account?
right?
It's all in good
Yeah,
fun, though. Oh, I like
yeah,
that, and I didn't expect that. That was good. Doom scrolling.
yeah.
I believe that's the first time that's come up on an episode of Director's Cut. So we just break down barriers all the time here.
Yes.
The third question is always the research and practice question. And this one's
Mhm.
kind of exciting because normally we get people who come on here, you're still going to give specifics, but
Yeah.
you can't tell us the project or where it is. And I'm kind of excited by that. There's a level of intrigue here. You're going
Yeah.
to talk about micropiles in a secret location. I love that so much. Go for it, Gabby.
So, kind of during the winter, I had the opportunity to go to a really cool project, and it was during the construction phase, and I was asked to do some QA/QC for micropiles just to make sure contractors were doing it right and to write down anything that might have been going wrong, just in case. And it was a pretty cool project because I had never seen micropiles done before, so this was the first time I got exposed to it. I've only read about it before, and I've only read about it. So for me, it was like, oh my gosh, it's coming to real life. So being able to watch them drill it, and how they placed in the casings and the grout, that was pretty cool. But that site was also pretty cool because we had a lot of other geotech things going on. We had stone columns too, which I was able to observe, and like how I did not know like what I was thinking before when I was thinking about stone columns, but like seeing like the stone, like how they drop it into the hole and vibrate it in. So a lot of stuff that I was like, okay, I'm able to put what I had in my textbook or what I've read about or what I've like heard on podcasts before. Now I'm able to see it, so now I understand it more. But that project was really cool. It was during the winter too, so I'm from Texas, so I'm not used to the cold. I don't do well in the cold, but I did learn how to dress appropriately. So that was another thing, learning like how many layers I actually needed to survive and how many hand warmers and where to place them so I wouldn't get frozen.
I guess
Yeah,
that's the first
yeah,
follow-up question then. What's your
yeah.
coat threshold usually? At what temperature would you put on a coat?
Below 80.
80.
Yeah, because you can never know. There might be like a light breeze happening, so you sometimes that's a little cold for me. So I always have like a light cardigan or like a light jacket, but then like a heavier jacket below 70.
That's still
Yeah,
kind of high. I'm
yeah,
not going to lie to you because I always
yeah,
laugh here.
yeah.
The coat line in the DC area is probably about 55 degrees. Like
Oh
that's where
my God.
people start putting on like pretty heavy coats.
Yeah,
And I always think, aren't they sweating? Like, how
yeah,
are they enduring that? It's always amazing to me. I don't know. I have a much lower coat threshold than that.
yeah,
So that's 70. Wow. That's
yeah. Well, that's freezing for me. I mean, and I
we
think it's just
gotta
yeah.
we gotta get you to someplace really cold for Geo-Congress or something.
We'll see. I might have to bring a lot of jackets for that one.
Oh yeah, you should. In
Yeah,
2020 in Minneapolis in February, the Texans and the Arizonans showed up with many
yeah.
layers.
Yeah, because I was there at, or yeah, Geo Congress Minneapolis, So
you
yeah,
survived.
I did survive. I don't know how, but I did survive. I
Oh,
still don't
that
know
is
how I
fantastic.
survived some of these projects.
So now we're going to go back and we're going to talk a little bit about Texas and geotech.
Yes.
And sometimes I like to ask this question just to expose our viewer base of 1.5 million or however many people watch this from around the
Yeah.
world, to give them a flavor of local geotech issues or experiences in places. And you've got a North Texas problem that you're going to talk a little bit about. Do you think it'll blow everybody's mind?
I think it would, especially for people that don't work on projects around the North Texas area. But the biggest issue is, of course, expansive clays. When I was working there, we would encounter high PI clays. I think like with liquid limits more than 102, I had to check with a colleague of mine just to make sure, like, hey, am I remembering this correctly? It's been a while since I've like worked on these expansive clays. Just want to make sure like I got it right. But these clays, they have significant shrinkage and swelling, so that's very important. So I'm remembering back to like when I used to work a lot in the Dallas area or in the North Texas area, kind of recommendations that we would give our clients was like what you would do. And then it was either water injection, chemical injection, or even just replace and place and fill. And I think one of the projects I had was like up to 10 feet of doing either three. And you always provide these recommendations so then the contractor can do what they think it's best for that project or what you're putting on or what's more economic for it. But when I was talking to an old colleague of mine, he told me that he had a project that was up to 12 feet. And so for me, that's very interesting. Yeah.
What was your reaction when you saw that live for the first time? Because you talked a little
Yes.
bit in the last question about,
Yeah.
you see this stuff in a textbook or you learn about
Yeah.
it in class, but it's
Mhm.
totally different to see it in
Yeah.
person. Did you kind of write that off when you heard about it in school and then it really just drove it home in person? I don't know, expansive soils of any kind seem kind of
Yeah.
wild, I think, like
Yeah.
if you've never been exposed to it.
True, yeah. For school, it's just like, okay, like they're just saying it. Like we'll put it like in practice when I actually start working. But like when you also like start working in the lab and like rolling the PIs and doing the liquid limit tests, like for me, it was sometimes these got like a little bit hard to roll because you trying to find the balance of how much water you need to put in it or like and you're drying it out too much. It's always been a little hard, but kind of putting into practice, I think when I saw like my first results, I was like, is this real? Is this possible? I had to like ask our lab manager, like, how did this happen? And he's like, no, this is just what it is in the area.
Oh, I like that a
Yeah.
lot. We move now to the
Yeah.
question that we teased at the beginning of the
Oh
interview,
yes.
and it involves Disneyland, Aladdin, people
Yeah.
staring.
Yes.
Oh, Gabby, what's the hardest in your life you ever remember laughing?
So the first instance would be what we teased about. It was when I was a lot younger. My family and I we went to Disneyland because we were in Anaheim. So we are like, hey, why not? Let's just go there. And then there was they had like the musical going on for Aladdin in the park. So we just went there, and I thought it was hilarious. So I would just start laughing. And then at the end of the show my mom just like turns around to me and she's like, people were staring at us, right? I was like, they were. I did not notice because I was just too focused on what was going on. But I know that's something my mom had to remind me of when I was talking to her. She's like, no, you've done this before. Yeah. And
But
then
had she ever said anything to you about it before, or was that the first time you remember her saying something to you about it?
um I probably blocked out moments beforehand. So it's the first one that I think is engraved in my head. She's probably mentioned it because I've kind of just ignored her in the past, but like that's the time I was like, oh yeah, maybe you are right.
Now we got to add a little context here
Yes.
because
Yeah.
this was in that big theater building that was like by Tower of Terror, right? Down at the
I I think so. It was many years ago.
There,
So I think
that
so,
is
yeah.
a giant building, and there are a
Yeah,
lot of seats in there. I
yeah,
can't, and it's loud. I can't
yeah,
believe people could hear you. Like that's
yeah. Yeah, I thought so too. I was like, y'all should be paying attention to the musical, not me.
exactly. That should
Yeah,
have been. You just tell your mom that.
yeah.
Okay, and you got a second one too, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah. So, I was in Peru visiting my cousins, and we went out to go watch one of the Ice Age movies. I think it was three or four. It was like one of the first few ones. Now that there's too many out there, but we were just sitting in the movie theaters, and I I just started laughing because the movie was very funny. My cousin kind of like tapped me on the shoulder during the movie, but I just kind of ignored her. I was like, whatever. Then at the end, she goes, Gabby, you laughed very hard. People were staring at us. And I was like, oh, I didn't notice it. But we think it's because the movie was in English, but the you had the subtitles in Spanish. So we think it was because I was already understanding what they said before people finished reading the subtitles. So I got the joke before they could finish it. So
I like
yeah,
that explanation. Now, I
yeah.
how accurate do you feel like the subtitles were? Do you how many movies have you watched with subtitles? Is it a lot?
Not that many, but
Like,
a couple
do
here
you
and there.
analyze it
Yeah.
though? Like, I get distracted and I'm like, I'll be like, oh, that's not really accurate. That's not, and it bothers me. I don't know.
Yeah, I do get distracted a lot when the subtitles come on because like I'm hearing it like in like because I speak Spanish and English, so like if I'm hearing it in English but like I'm reading it in Spanish, like there's so much going on. But I think for that movie, I just did not read the subtitles at all because I was like I'm already understanding this. But with other movies, yeah, like it's just a little. Sometimes you just disassociate a little bit because you're trying to you're like doing reading comprehension
Yep.
while you're watching a movie. That's just too many things happening at once.
I have to
Yeah.
say, I'm also fascinated because those Ice Age movies were not cheap to make and they made a lot
Yeah.
of money. There
Yeah.
wasn't just a Spanish language version?
Maybe there was, but it was sold out on the day that we went. So I think my
Oh,
cousins just wanted to go watch a movie and yeah,
resourceful. I like it.
yes. And I was like, well, it's all good. I don't mind if we watch it in Spanish or English. I understand both. So
So
yeah.
if anybody goes to visit Gabby in Austin, what you need to do is apparently get you laughing, and that will be a good time, right? That's
Yes, yeah, apparently.
so the other question that we ask everybody when they come on Director's Cut
Yeah.
is to tell their ASCE origin story, as I like to call it. How did you first get involved with ASCE and GI?
For sure. So ASCE, I heard about it at Tech. So they had their club there, and I would go to a couple meetings here and there. I think I played with them intramural once. I wasn't that good at basketball, but I did cheer a lot on the sidelines.
There was an
Yeah,
ASCE intramural basketball team at
yeah,
Texas
yeah,
Tech.
yeah. Because they did club intramurals, where all the different organizations on campus
Oh.
could play against each other. So, because I was a part of Suite 2, we decided to do an ASE and Suite 1. So that's when yeah, yeah. So that's like one of the couple things that I did while I was at Tech. So it was pretty cool. It was interesting. The games were short and people were very competitive. They were very competitive. So I remember just standing on the sidelines most of the time, just cheering on my team.
Did
Yeah.
you I mean, maybe you don't remember, but I truly hope you do. Did your team have an engineering themed name?
Yeah. We were the Flow Nets.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love to like there's just so much there because
Yeah.
everybody else was probably like, what is that? What is that? And you have a couple of choices at that moment. You can either
Yeah.
explain it to them and they probably won't get it,
Yeah.
or you just kind of act like they're stupid and make some snide comment on the side.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Okay, but
Yeah.
I interrupted you. Now you got to tell everybody what's the rest of your ASCE story or GI for that matter.
For sure. So that's kind of how I got introduced to ASCE. And then my first interaction with GI, was in grad school. I was looking on how to meet more geotech engineers. Because I was living in Lubbock and also like working at the university. So I just wanted to meet more engineers. So when I looked into ASCE, what they had, I saw they had the Geo-Institute. Then I was looking into the student competitions, and that's how I got involved with the GeoWall team. So after I read on it, I was like, well, like our ASCE section, we have the steel, the concrete canoe and the steel bridge. I was like, why aren't we doing something that's also geotech related? So I got together with our geotech professor, Dr. So, Dr. Lawson, and Dr. J, and I said, let's start a GeoWall team. And they just went with it too, and they helped me out a lot. But that was also, it was so we think it's Tech's like very first GeoWall team that we established. So that was pretty cool. And then our team got to go to Minneapolis at Geo-Congress to go to the finals. We didn't think we were going to get chosen just because it was our first time presenting. And we heard it was a little hard. Fun being at Geo-Congress. And that was kind of like eye-opening. I was like, oh, there's so many more other geotechs out here that you could do so much with this degree. So yeah, that was my introduction to GI.
That is fantastic. So
Yeah.
would you say that it fulfilled the promise of what you were looking for, that there was networking there and all that good stuff and getting more involved?
Yes, yeah, it did.
We can end the interview right now then. We just won't even do the other.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fantastic. Now, before we move on, we're going to talk a lot about professional societies here, so
Yes.
everybody buckle up. You wanted to talk a little bit about Women in Deep Foundations, too.
Yeah,
Give a shout
yeah.
out there, so go for it.
For sure, yeah. So I've been involved with Women in Deep Foundations. That's a part of DFI for a couple of years now, but I got introduced to DFI through one of my professors at Tech, Dr. So. He told me, hey, this is a scholarship. This was all throughout grad school. You should apply for it. So I did. I got the scholarship. And then when I was working in Dallas, kind of at the start of COVID, it was really hard. You couldn't meet any other engineers. So I reached out to DFI, and then I saw that they had a Women in Deep Foundations committee, and I reached out to them, and Lucky responded immediately. She was really quick, and she was just she was saying that what meetings we had, what events were going on, and she also promoted the grant, the WIDF grant. So we also set a one-on-one together. So to learn more about what WIDF did, or what was WIDF, and then also learn more about the grant. I applied, and then I got the grant for the Las Vegas conference. So that was really interesting, and I've been involved ever since. And I've worked as their secretary, so it's been really cool being a part of WIDF.
That is fantastic, and it's, every now and then, I feel like it's only maybe 10 weeks apart, we'll have somebody on here who's involved with that group, and so we give them a little shout out, and we're going to seamlessly go into a third professional society now and talk about it, one that we haven't talked about on Director's Cut in a while, and that is SWE, Society of Women Engineers. You are involved with that. And I mean, you can tell everybody a little bit about it, but the direct question here is, what would you say to somebody who's on the fence about getting involved with SWE?
They should just join. Honestly, that's the best answer I could give. I've been involved with SWE ever since I was a student at Tech. So I've grown a lot through it. It's given me a lot of opportunities. While I was at Tech, of course, you do the fun things, like you played intramurals, but also we did like a lot of outreach events for the middle school and high school girls within the Lubbock area. I remember my favorite event was I put on one year this outreach event that we always have in the fall called Catch the Engineering Bug. And that year, it was every year it kept growing, but that one, it was the biggest one to this date that I know of. We had 300 middle school girls all over West Texas, kind of going from the Panhandle all the way down south, come to the university to learn more about engineering. So it was really fulfilling. And even to now, I'm very involved within my Austin local chapter and also kind of society-wide, where I help with strategic development. So it's opened a lot of opportunities, and I've got to meet other engineers too that are not geotechs or that are not in civil engineering. And it's really interesting to see how it all ties together, because a lot of the people that I work with within SWE, they're in tech or they're in aerospace. So it's really nice to see how it all ties together, because I know someone was developing planes, and I was like, but you need also the geotech engineer to help with the runways. So, or you need your civil engineers too. So it's a great way to see how at the end, like how we're all tied together. And it's really eye-opening too. It's a great experience.
Very good. So we did go
Yeah.
seamlessly there from ASCE
Yeah.
to GI to DFI to
Yes, yeah.
SWE, and we'll put links in the show notes to all those different organizations so that you can find out more. And for our viewers, you can get involved. We have
Yeah.
3 questions left, and I always say that at its heart, Director's Cut is a
Yeah.
show about food, sports, and music. And we hit the intramural basketball there a minute ago, which I did not expect that to come up today, so that warmed my heart. Now we're going to talk a little bit about food. And I'm glad you got this question when I put it in here, because I was nervous
Yeah.
about the way I phrased it and everything. Sometimes foods just taste better when you don't have to make it yourself,
Oh, yeah.
or for various reasons. Maybe you're not very good at cooking that specific thing. Maybe it takes a lot of time, and on and on and on. Gabby, for you, what foods taste better when you're not the one making them?
Everything. I'm not a very good cook. So I'm not the best cook, but I do have certain foods that I like certain people making. So for one, desserts, it's like my sister, she's a great baker. So every time she's home, I'm always telling her, you need to make me these cookies or cupcakes, and she'll make them whenever she has time. But a couple dishes are when I go back to visit some family that I have in Peru. It's just one of my aunts. I have a specific aunt that she needs to make rocoto relleno, which is like a classic Peruvian dish. And then my other aunt, she needs to make me ají de gallina. So,
So you got to give everybody the basics about what's in these
yes,
dishes.
of course.
I'm amazed. I don't think we've had anybody talk about Peruvian food on the show so
Yeah.
far. Gabby, you're essentially the ambassador here. So
Yeah.
tell us what's in both of those.
For sure. So, in rocoto relleno, rocoto, the best way I can describe it, it looks like a bell pepper, but it's spicier than a jalapeno. It's just the best way I can describe it. And it's kind of like mostly red, but it's really, really spicy. So I don't know how you clean it out. I just know I eat it. But my aunt, what she'll do is she'll clean out the veins in the inside, because that's what makes it really spicy. And then she'll cook some meat on the side, which is like usually ground beef. And then she'll add like onions and other things on it. I'm not sure. I just eat it. And then she'll fill that meat into the rocoto, and then she'll put it in the oven with some cheese. And because this is a Peruvian food, there's always potato on the side. So then you have some potato with cheese on it too. It goes into the oven, and then it comes out. And she's one of the only people that I trust making that food. I usually don't eat it anywhere else except for her. I've tried to recreate it at home. It does not come out that good as she does, as she makes it. So.
So I think the secret there is you just have to find your own spin on it, right? Because if you make it different enough, then people don't compare the two things, right? And problem solved. Nobody can say that yours isn't as good anymore, because you just say, oh, it's just, I tweaked the recipe. I made it a little bit different. Oh, I like that. But we're going to get a recipe and put that down in the show notes so that everybody can find this for themselves. And you probably should find a Peruvian restaurant near you if you can. And definitely go get some Peruvian food if you haven't had it, people. Now, 2 to go here.
Okay.
And you get a would you rather question. Okay. I'm not going to apologize, because I think this is a good one. We're going to have a good discussion about this. Gabby, would you rather win the lottery or have a close family member who might share the money with you win?
That's a good one. So a part of me wants to say I would like to keep the money, But the other part, which I'll go with, is that I will share, if I do win the lottery, I would share the earnings with my godmother because she loves to travel a lot. So we would use that money to go travel together, or she can travel where she wants to, and then I just go join her because she's really good at making itineraries, and I sometimes just tag along.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
that. I think
Yeah.
for me it was like I don't want the attention that comes along with winning the big lottery prize.
Yeah.
Like I want a little piece of it and that's
Yeah.
it. And I don't need to, when you go to the grocery store and you see the
Yeah.
lottery desk and it's like, we sold a $50,000 ticket here.
Yeah.
I don't even need that. I just, no attention.
Yeah.
Have you ever won any money in the lottery in your life?
No, I have really bad luck. So not even in bingo, I can't. Yeah, it's real. I have really bad luck. So yeah.
We need some kind of GI sweepstakes
Yes.
to turn it around because that's not the first
Yeah.
time I've heard that, and it
Yeah.
can't be a geotech thing. We got to do better than this.
Yes. Yeah.
So the final question, we have to ask a question about your time in Lubbock at Texas Tech. I think it's an easy one, right? But a lot of people have never been to that part of the state, that part of the country. So again, you are the ambassador, Gabby. What was most memorable about your time at Texas Tech?
I have to say Lubbock is very unique. It's completely different than Austin. It's very flat and brown, but my favorite part about Tech would have to be the this going to the football games, baseball and basketball. I mean, during football time, we had Patrick Mahomes, so he was a really good quarterback. Our defense just was not that good.
Doesn't
So
matter. You win a
yeah,
game. If you win a game 58-51, you still
yeah.
win the game.
That is true, yeah. So it was really cool. And then basketball, we were not doing so well my freshman year, but then we got a lot better. I think we went into March Madness, maybe my senior year, and maybe when I was in grad school. But it was seeing how much our basketball team improved. But another favorite part about like going to Tech was the how the campus looked uniform. So the architecture, I think it's supposed to be Spanish style architecture. So you'll see old buildings and new buildings still look the same and still have the same red brick exterior. It's written in their spec sheet that all
Wow.
buildings should look similar. So I would have to say out of all the campuses I've been on, and it's not that many, it's the one with the most uniform architecture that there is. So I just like going and walking around.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
So even if some big donor comes and gives a ton of money for a new building or whatever,
Yeah.
it has to conform to those standards, it sounds like.
Yes, yeah, it does. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, we've got a couple new buildings, or when I was going there, there were a couple new buildings popping up, but they still remained the same architecture with that same kind of like red brick exterior. So that's my favorite. That's why I like it a lot. Mm-hmm.
That is pretty
Yeah.
cool. So now, if anybody's looked at a map or been anywhere west of maybe probably west of Austin in Texas,
Yeah.
I won't say there's not a lot there because there's a lot of stuff, but it can be a lonely drive, I would think, from
Yes.
Austin to Lubbock. Did you have a favorite place to stop either on the way there or on the way home when you were going back and forth?
Yeah, it was Winters, Texas, because they had a really nice gas station compared to the city before or after it. Because it was really nice. It looked kind of brand new. So that was my favorite place to stop, and it had everything you needed. And then also one of my favorite parts of the drive, I think it's past Winters, is when you start hitting the windmills.
Oh.
So there's a lot of windmills out there, like in West Texas. So at the beginning, it's really nice, but then kind of when you start hitting the 2 hour mark, you're like, oh my gosh, when is it going to stop?
That is funny because ours out here are kind of, I don't want to say they're hidden, but usually they're in the mountains, right? So
Yeah,
sometimes you can't even really see them, or you
Yeah.
can just see the tops, or you come over a mountain and you see a few. We don't have big fields of them the way that you
Yeah.
can on the flatter terrain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. And give everybody one one place to eat in Lubbock. If they find themselves there, where should they go?
Oh, shoot. That's a good question. So the best barbecue that I had was in a city outside of Lubbock, I think 20 minutes away. I think it's called EV Maze. I remember going there, lines like would start, people would start lining up by like 7 or 8 in the morning. So I would say that EV Maze barbecue, I think it's the best.
See, I even put you on the spot,
Yeah.
and it took you a couple seconds, but there you were.
Yeah.
You came through. Gaby, you made it through all 10 questions. We didn't even mention one huge thing, right? That's the GI Austin chapter, which is just getting off the ground. Before we close out, do you want to say a couple things about that?
So we just started the GI chapter in Austin this year. This was something that we've been kind of wanting to do. Going to a couple ASCE events, you get to meet like 1 or 2 geotech engineers within the Austin area, but not too many. So this is a good way to kind of network within more geotechs in Austin. So I'm excited for that. I have an amazing executive board, and I cannot wait to see what we do. We have our first luncheon next week, and we're very excited. And we hope to have many more to come.
So for everybody in the Austin area, turn up. Show Gaby and the rest of the board what you've got going on. We would love to see you at the chapter events. So Gaby, you survived. You made it through all the questions, even the bonus questions that I threw your way, and you did a great job. And for our viewers, if you liked what you saw, and I always say you're here at the end, so you probably did, click like, subscribe, and get notifications. And yes, once again, we will let you know every time, not just some of the times, every time we post something to the YouTube channel. Gaby, thank you so much for doing this. I mean, again, was it fun? That's the only thing I promise.
It was a lot of fun.
And now everybody can go watch Ice Age with the Spanish subtitles and see if there's something that they're missing. And maybe it's funnier than just watching it without them. I tend to believe that it probably is. For all of our viewers, once again, we will see you in just 7 days with another brand new episode of Director's Cut.